Hi guys, I am back again finally with another Buy Me a Coffee request, and this is how this city turned a 12-lane highway into a river with greenery. What? How? What? In my head it doesn't make sense, but I know it's gonna make sense. And how are they gonna achieve this? This is gonna be really interesting. So before we start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's get it.
Have you ever imagined a world where cars are banned from the city center and greenery and waterways take their place?
No.
The city has made this vision a reality by turning a 12-lane highway into a beautiful river with green spaces and bike lanes. Join us as we explore the remarkable journey of Utrecht and how this city serves as a shining example of how investing in green infrastructure can yield a multitude of benefits for
Look
a
at that. This
metropolitan
is
area.
so beautiful.
The city is internationally acknowledged as a forward-thinking and wonderfully healthy metropolitan center.
Oh yeah, by the way, I took a break. I saw Singapore for the first time, and obviously I was there again because of this video, so I was like comparing again. They have beautiful transportation system. Obviously they're not as much into bikes, but they do have bike lanes. Even Indonesia, they have bike lanes, but it's not being used as much as Netherlands or like Europe in general. But their transportation system is so much better than obviously here. If you watch the other video, I think the second to the last video or the last video I uploaded before this one, you know how I kind of like blew I kind of like lost it in that video. I was so like pissed at our country, but anyways, we've relaxed and we're back again. I'm good.
That exemplifies what a car-free, environmentally friendly, and joyful future may potentially look like in your very own area. Utrecht has made exceptional measures to work on
I don't know why I like that
personal
name, so I
satisfaction
keep
of its
saying
residents, including prohibiting the utilization of vehicles altogether and requiring practically all homes to have somewhere around one bike in their.
I have another information that you don't even care for, but I will still share because I'm lonely and I need a friends. But anyways, so when I was in Jakarta, obviously Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch, right? So I went to the museum, so I was reading up the history and all that. But I knew that before I went there because of our reactions. And I was just like biking around because you can bike around like the old city, old town, I mean, it's called Kota Tua. And I was like, oh my god, all these videos were just flashing in my head whilst I was riding, and the buildings were also like very Dutch like, so not all but most of them. So I was just looking around, I was like enjoying my peace and serenity, and I was just imagining I'm in Netherlands or something.
Assortment. Since the 1970s, Utrecht, otherwise known as the city representing things to come, has made it a priority to give individuals' well-being and joy a high priority. In the year 2020, the city was able to do something really extraordinary as a result of this commitment. The interruption of an 800-year-old trench was one of the elements that incited a reaction from the local community because of the development of a 12-path motorway that went through the focal point of the city. This incident had a huge influence on the local community, and it led the city to take steps in the right direction by putting the requirements of its residents first. As an immediate consequence of this, they set forward-thinking strategies into impact, which proceeded to act as an illustration for an extraordinary number of different urban communities in the years to come. The Dutch city of Utrecht has made a huge move toward improving the nature of its metropolitan climate by disallowing the utilization of vehicles inside the city's focal business locale. Instead, the streets of the city have been redesigned to incorporate bike lanes, pathways for pedestrians, lovely green areas, and a canal system. In addition to its low levels of traffic, the city of Utrecht is home to an amazing number of 316 bus stops dedicated to biodiversity. However,
316.
it is crucial to realize that the current condition of the urban landscape in Utrecht was not an uncomplicated feat. In order to make this vision a reality, it took the committed efforts of the local community. During the 1960s, a massive change happened in the metropolitan format of the city, which incorporated the disposal of the memorable waterway framework and the establishment of a 12-path parkway in its stead. This was a part of the metamorphosis. During the process of modernization, the historical value of the waterways was ignored, despite the fact that ships had been navigating those rivers for a significant amount of time. To accomplish the objective of modernizing the city, it was important to dispose of the waterways and fabricate an expressway in their place. This was a prerequisite for achieving the goal. In order to rejuvenate an urban region over the course of a decade, a significant effort was put into demolish a broad 12-lane boulevard and restore a canal to its previous magnificence. This was done with the intention of restoring the waterway's rich historical and cultural value. The canal was reinstated to its former splendor. The extraordinary undertaking is an illuminating demonstration of the transformational power of natural therapies. Since a very long time ago, the local that possesses the northwestern corner of the downtown area of Utrecht has been known for being a bustling place. There are various methods of transportation. However, there is just a restricted measure of room in the district, so land vehicles need to trust that trench vessels will pass before they can continue. Several bridges were built in an effort to alleviate congestion and minimize wait times. Nonetheless, the amount and diversity of traffic continued to expand despite the construction of these bridges. After some time, by the 1960s, vehicle traffic had taken over as the dominant force and consumed every possible inch of space. The urban center sought the waterways that were utilized less frequently so that it could generate greater space. It was not taken into account that these waterways are significant from a historical standpoint. The objective was to pave the way for a contemporary motorway to be built straight through the middle of the city. In 1968, the canal was emptied and filled with dirt, bringing this idea one step closer to becoming a reality. In order to provide structural support for the upcoming roadway, robust poles were driven into the ground. The old level of the canal was turned into a sturdy foundation made of concrete, and the antiquated bridges were replaced with viaducts made of concrete that are more long-lasting. In 1973, the first motor traffic lanes finally opened after a period of almost 5 years of construction, despite the fact that the majority of the highway was finished by the middle of the 1970s. The end result was not exactly what was envisioned, owing to concerns that slowed its construction. As a consequence of this, the shortest motorway in the Netherlands barely covered a distance of slightly more than 1 kilometer and led to a standard 2-lane road, which rendered it meaningless from the very beginning. The idea of going back to the way things were swiftly brought up for discussion, but the process of really putting it into action didn't start until 2009. The principal thing that should have been done was to close off admittance to the street, and afterward came the destruction of the substantial viaducts and the evaluation of the substantial floors. In addition to that, each and every one of the 1,000 drilled poles was removed. As a direct consequence of this, the building site was immediately submerged in water, which necessitated the delivery of sand to the location in order to restore its previous levels of dryness. The construction of bridges has begun, and the builders have begun selecting areas that give the impression of being lonely and isolated. This has piqued people's excitement about the prospect of water returning in the future. Brick walls were built to strengthen the base of the new canal as it took shape during construction. While drivers began to utilize the freshly built bridges, construction workers began removing the temporary soil that had been used during construction. A line of trees was hauled in and planted along one of the canal sites prior to the beginning of the digging phase of the project.
Yeah, so it will
is
grow.
Interesting to note that over 50 years ago, a row of trees quite identical to the one that is there now
50 years?
existed in the same spot. After just a short period of time, excavators had once again reached the water table, and water had begun to overwhelm the construction site.
Oh.
This turn of events did not come as a surprise because other teams were simultaneously positioning concrete components that would designate the boundary between the sea and the land at the same time. It was considerably easier to do this operation before the canal was flooded with water. In spite of this, the excavation process was sped up and an incredible amount of attention was generated by it. Utrecht's inhabitants were excited to observe their city being taken back to its previous magnificence, and they made a point to savor every single step of the remodeling cycle.
Oh, look at
The
the teacup
development
on top of the
laborers that
building.
were responsible for administering the removal
teapot.
project in the end found different groups that were chipping away at the undertaking. The remaining components for the perimeter had to be erected from the landward
That's
side
so beautiful.
because the canal had already gotten filled with groundwater. The contractors were working under a tight deadline since the local officials had committed to restoring the water supply to the population before the year 2015 came to an end. The last 160 days of the year saw a significant acceleration in the pace of labor. When the new canal was finally connected to the old one, the water levels shot up to the target level almost instantly. On December 18, 2015, the city of Utrecht held a ceremony to inaugurate the canal, officially putting an end to the roughly 900-year-old freeway and returning the waterways to their former beauty. This day was significant in Utrecht's history since it marked the day the canal was opened. Utrecht is a splendid illustration of how putting resources into a green foundation can create a large number of advantages for a metropolitan region, going from further developed air quality and general well-being to expanded financial achievement. Utrecht serves as a shining example of how investing in green infrastructure can yield a multitude of benefits for a metropolitan area. In the past few years, Utrecht has continued to make big steps toward lowering carbon emissions and promoting sustainability. In 2018, the city opened the world's biggest bike parking building, which can hold more than 12,000 bikes. The garage was made so that more people would use bikes as their main way to get around and fewer people would use cars. Also, the city has done a lot to encourage people to use electric cars and public transportation. For example, it has set up free charging spots for electric cars.
Why don't we incorporate this here, especially not especially in our city, because this city is mountainous, so it's gonna be like a hike if we have bikes, but it's not impossible. Because first and foremost, Philippines is not a very, very rich country. So isn't it better to have bikes than to have cars? Because there's so many people who have cars, but if bike was the main mode of transportation, everybody can afford a bike, right? Not everyone, but like most people can afford a bike. And in the beginning, yes, maybe your bike will get stolen. That is because not everybody can afford a bike, so your bike will definitely get stolen at the beginning. But once everybody starts, getting bikes and it becomes normal, I guess nobody will steal bikes anymore, hopefully. But this could be implemented because I feel like in this city alone, there's more cars than humans nowadays. There's traffic everywhere. I've heard a lot of people say, oh my god, the traffic in Jakarta is so crazy. But when I went there, I was like, this is crazy. You have not stepped into Manila before. Like, if this is crazy for you, Manila is going to be, I don't know, like, good luck. Manila traffic is on another level. If people in Jakarta think their traffic is crazy, because that's one of the main thing I've heard so much. It's like Jakarta has the craziest traffic and it's traffic. I always talk about that. But when I went there, I was like, no, this is nothing. This is a nothing, because your traffic is, yes, you can visibly see traffic in Jakarta, but it's moving. But have you ever seen a traffic in your life that never moves? Welcome to Manila, right? If you want to see traffic, go to Manila at rush hour. Oh, good luck to you. You might get home probably like 5 hours after. So yeah.
And made the bus network bigger. Utrecht's commitment to sustainability and green infrastructure has not gone unnoticed, as the city has received numerous accolades and awards for its efforts. In 2016, the city was named the most sustainable city in the world by the Dutch Sustainability Organization. Additionally, Utrecht was awarded the European Mobility Week Award in 2019 for its efforts to promote sustainable transportation. Utrecht serves as an excellent example of how cities can prioritize sustainability and green infrastructure to create a healthier and more livable environment for their residents. Through innovative planning initiatives and a commitment to reducing carbon emissions,
take action.
Utrecht has shown that a more sustainable future is not only possible, but also achievable.
It's achievable, exactly, but I don't know. I need to research really. Like, what are we doing? What projects are we doing? There probably is a lot there, but are we taking action towards them? Or are we just like, oh, you know what? I want to become a president, so I'm just going to give you all the list of projects I want to do, but it's just going to be a list. I'm not even actually going to take actions, right? So is it the case? Because there's so many of these things that we can adapt, that I feel like we can easily adapt. Even the bike, right? The bike, there's gonna be some flaws, but I feel like we can figure it out. Especially starting with small cities like us, not in Manila. Maybe Manila, yes, also, but I don't know how things work there exactly. But over here, I think we can slowly adapt that. The only thing we need to figure out is the bike lanes. I feel like if we put bike lanes, then we can, because if you start biking here, you probably might get hit by a car, because people drive like they're blind. So that's why it's not advisable. 2 reasons why you can bike here: it's mountainous, so it's like it's tough, but it's not an excuse. Second one will be like there's no lanes for bikes, so, and there's no parking for bikes as well. So good luck to your bike. If you come out from wherever you're going, you might just have a one wheel waiting for you. So there we go. Anyways, thank you for this. I really do enjoy watching these, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.